Amen. Let's give it up for Battle Drums one more time. That was so good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, anyhow, how are you guys doing tonight, Spectrum? How are you guys doing? That's good, that's good. Hey, that's all good. It's Thursday, but it's late in the week. But as always, I just want to let you know how absolutely incredibly excited I am that you are here tonight. I know you hear me say that a lot, but I mean it. Especially as things in our city, praise God, are opening up. There is more to do, even on a Thursday night. Maybe even for some of you, there are things that you wish that you were doing on a Thursday night rather than Spectrum. If that's you, that's okay. I'm still glad that you are here. I'm glad that you chose to be a part of this family tonight. If I don't know you, if we've never talked, my name is Taylor. I get to be one of the pastors here. And I don't know, I just, maybe you're in here tonight and you're still making your mind up about Jesus. Maybe coming to church is honestly weird. Maybe you're still figuring things out with Jesus. Maybe you don't even believe in God. You're just here for the vibes. That's cool. I just want to let you know how incredibly welcome you are in this family. No matter who you are, no matter what you think about Jesus, you are welcome here. We believe that Spectrum is a family, and we also think that you can belong here in this family even if you don't believe yet. You can belong here even if you're still figuring out what you believe. But because I respect you enough, I want to be very clear with who I am, what I believe, what this community is about. And at our core, we believe that Jesus is who he said he is. We believe that he is the only Son of God. We believe that he died for our sins, that he was raised to life 3 days later. We believe that this Bible is not just a book, it's actually the Word of God, and we believe that Jesus is the only way to experience forgiveness and life change, both in this life and in eternity. I just want you to know that that is who we are. That's who we are. And if you're taking notes, I want to share a talk with you tonight for the remainder of our time together that I'm calling, Why Isn't This Working? Why isn't this working? If you brought a Bible, you can open it up to the Gospel of Luke. We will be in chapter 9 tonight. Gospel of Luke, chapter 9. I'm going to be reading out of the New International Version, but you can read along in any version. We will have it up on the screen for you as well. But before we do that, I would like to share a story with you. It's story time. And I'm going to share a story with you. I'm just going to be honest. This story is going to make me look bad. This story is going to make me look bad. And the title of this story is Taylor and the Day That He Could Not Start the Grill. Let me explain. That's right. I don't know why you're cheering for that, but thank you. I feel very supported. So, the day that I could not start the grill. So, if you know me well, you'll know that kind of one of my secret hobbies is I really, really, really like to grill. I just love to grill. I think, honestly, I've grilled steaks, 3 or 4 times in the last week. I really like doing it. So, anyhow, about 2 or 3 months ago, I was going to grill up some steaks, grill up some hot dogs for the family. It was like a Saturday afternoon. I was going to grill up some lunch. Walked out to my grill like normal. It's on the side of my house. Walk up. I turn the propane on like normal. I turn the burners on like normal. And then my grill has a little button that you push to start it. So I push it. Normally it goes like click, 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 and then and then the fire lights, right? So I'm just like click, 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 nothing. Click, 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 nothing. And it's like 3rd time's the charm. Click, 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 nothing. And I was like, okay. So what I did was I calmly stepped back. I assessed the situation. And by that I mean I smacked the top of the grill. I yelled, "Why aren't you working?" And then I smacked it again. And then I had a brilliant idea, a genius idea. Sometimes my genius is astounding because I realized the gas is on. The propane is flowing. My issue is with the starter. So I just need to light the flame. That's my only problem. Big brain time, I know. So I think, okay, I'm going to go right inside. I'm going to get a lighter. I'm going to just light the flame myself because that's my problem. Big brain time, I'm telling you guys. Please don't ever do this. Please, please, please don't ever do this. So anyhow, I get the lighter. I stick it in there by the burner. And I light the lighter. And I get a flame. It goes whoosh. And my face is engulfed in a burst of fire and heat. And I was not expecting that. I should have been, but I never took physics in high school or college, so blame that. But anyhow, so I'm standing here having just, been through the fiery inferno. I realized okay, I have not passed away, so that's good. I realized that my arm hairs are extremely singed. Feel my eyebrows are definitely a little bit crunchier than they should be. And I walk in, still kind of dazed. Savannah's like, why do you smell like a campfire? And I tell her, well, here's what happened. She laughs at me. But me, being the determined boy that I am, I said, I still want my steak. So I walk out, and I'm just like, I'm determined to figure out what's going on with my grill. I am not going to take no for an answer. So come to find out, my grill, the little button that starts it, is powered by a battery. All I had to do was unscrew that button and change the battery. It was that easy. I put another battery in it, and I hit the button, and it lit just fine. That's all I had to do, was just change the battery. All that stood between me and lighting that grill was a battery. But I did not take the time to fix the problem. I was so impatient that I was just so focused on just making it happen that I didn't even think about fixing the problem, and I did something really stupid. So learn from my lesson. Don't light a grill like that. It is dangerous. Thankfully, I stand before you today, and I do still have hair and eyebrows. Praise God. But in all seriousness, seeing how us Christians have been behaving these last 12 months, I have been asking the question, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Over the last year, I have watched the American church become more and more divided than I think I could ever remember. Christians over this last 12 months, we have become more and more aggressive with each other. We're more and more angry with each other. And honestly, us Christians seem more willing than ever to bust out and start slandering people on social media, which is a sin, by the way. It's a sin to slander another believer, but we are very willing to do it. I'm guilty of it too. Woo! But I'm guilty of it too. And the fact of the matter is, over this past 12 months, everything that we could have fought over, we have. We have found things to fight over. We have found a way to fight over masks. Should we wear masks? Should we not wear masks? Should we get vaccinated? Should we not get vaccinated? We found a way to fight over politics. We found a way to fight over race and injustice. All these things we found a way to fight about. All the things that 2020 brought to us, 2021 is still bringing, we've found a way to fight about it as Christians. And I'm not even including all the things that Christians normally fight about, like the things for 2,000 years we fought about, like the end times, and the baptism. Should we baptize babies? Do you have to be, older? Our predestination, free will, all the normal Christian things. I'm not even including that. We've been fighting about those things for a while. I'm just looking at the way that we've been behaving as an American church over the past 12 months. And it just seems like lately that we spend more and more time being angry with each other. We're upset with each other. We say we don't like cancel culture, but boy, us Christians sure seem to like canceling each other. We seem to go out of our way to do that. And we're preaching the same message. We're preaching the same Jesus. We're preaching the good news that we've always preached, but let's just be honest, something seems off. Something seems off. And increasingly, I have been stuck asking, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? And at the end of the day, I believe that it is because we have made American Christianity into an us versus them situation. American Christianity for so many of us is us versus them. It's my way of doing something versus their way of doing something. It's my church versus your church. It's my preferences versus your preferences. It's Christians versus unbelievers. It's us versus them. And we seem to have become obsessed with dividing everyone in this world into you're either a friend or an enemy. You're either a friend or an enemy, us versus them. But when I read the Bible, I see that Jesus died so that his enemies would become his friends. Why are we doing the opposite? Why are we almost trying to make enemies wherever we go? Again, if you're in here tonight, and you would not consider yourself a believer, you would not consider yourself a follower of Jesus, again, you are so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This talk tonight is not really directed at you. This talk tonight is not really directed at you. I want you to listen in. I want you to hear what we're talking about, but this talk is primarily directed at those of us who we would identify as Christians. We would identify as Christians. Show of hands, who's ever had a family meeting? Has anyone ever had a family meeting? Mom, dad, everyone. Mom, dad, grandparents are just like, we need to talk. And so you have a big meeting in like the living room, and it's super serious. This isn't as serious, but I think tonight is basically a family meeting that we need to have. We believe that at our core that we are a family as Spectrum, and because of that, I think this is a discussion that we need to have. We need to have a family meeting. And I believe that God's word, it's living, it's active. I believe that Jesus still has something for us to say, for us to hear in 2021. I believe Jesus has something to say to us. So let's look at Luke 9, starting in verse 44. This is Jesus speaking. He says, "Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men." But they did not understand what this meant. It was hidden from them, so that they did not grasp it, for they were afraid to ask him about it. An argument started among the disciples as to which one of them would be the greatest. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had him stand beside him. And he said to them, "Whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For it is the one who is least among you who is the greatest." "Master," said John, "we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he is not one of us." "Do not stop him," Jesus said, "for whoever is not against you is for you." As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they said, "Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven and destroy them?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. Let's pray. Father God, I just thank you so much for your word. Thank you for this family. I thank you that we can have this time to study your word. I believe that you do want to speak to us, that you do want to, you want us to grow. You want us to be the people that you have called us to be, and you know our hearts. You know the places that we fall short of that, and I just pray that tonight that we would truly hear a word from you. I pray you'd get me out of the way, that you would speak tonight, and I pray that you would be glorified. Help us to focus, help us to pay attention to what you want to say to each of us, so that we can walk out of here and we can do what you have called us to. In Jesus' name, amen. Woo. I believe that this text shows us three things that are holding us back from being the community, from being the people that Jesus wants us to be. I believe that this passage, it's 13 verses. I believe these 13 verses show us three reasons why this isn't working. Why this isn't working. Here's the first reason. Because we compare. Because we compare. Look again at verse 46. It says, "An argument started among the disciples as to which of them would be the greatest, which of them would be the most important." And as always, we need to kind of set up the story. We need to set up the scene, explore the context. We're basically jumping into this chapter 2/3 of the way through. If you were here about 3-4 weeks ago, Santi shared a talk on the transfiguration, right? So when Jesus takes three of his disciples, Peter, James, John, he takes them up to a mountain. He is the Son of God. He shows them his true glory, his true power. Moses and Elijah, two very important people from the Old Testament, they're coming, they're talking to Jesus. Peter doesn't know what to say. Peter puts his foot in his mouth like he always does. You know, that's what happens. So basically, they go down the mountain. And again, you'll remember the story. They go down the mountain, and they see that everybody else is crowded around a father and a son, because this father has brought his only son, and his only son is possessed by a demon. This father brought his son, seeking for his son to be healed of this demon, having the demon cast out. Jesus was not there. The other 9 disciples who were there tried to cast out that demon, but they couldn't. So Jesus shows up. He casts out the demon. He heals this boy. And the verse right before our story starts, verse 43, it says that everybody was marveling. Everybody was amazed at what Jesus was doing. People were hyped at what they just seen. They'd just seen Jesus for now 3.5 years perform all these miracles, all these incredible supernatural acts. They thought, this is what we've been waiting for. This movement can't be stopped. This is, we've been waiting for that Messiah king to show up. This is Jesus. We're going to go. We're going to kick out the Romans. They thought all these things. But then Jesus looks at his disciples in verse 44, and he says, hey, I need you to listen to what I'm about to tell you. Because the Son of Man, that's how Jesus would refer to himself. The Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men. He's going to be betrayed. And Jesus is trying to explain that his ultimate purpose in life, his ultimate purpose for this ministry was to sacrifice himself to save the rest of humanity. But we see that the disciples, it literally says they didn't understand what he was talking about, and they were too afraid to ask him. So they didn't understand, Jesus, what do you mean by that? And they were just scared. So what do? Jesus just says, hey, guys, buckle up. Things are going to get bumpy. It's going to get rough from here on out. I need us all to be on the same page. And what's their response? They argue about who's the most special. They argue about who is the most special. And look at verses 47, 48. It says, Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had him stand beside him. And then he said, whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For it is the one who is least among you all who is greatest. And it's easy reading the Bible, especially if you've grown up in church, it's easy to rag on the disciples for being dumb. But let's just be honest, we do the same thing. I guarantee you. If we put 12 Christians in a room together, within 10 minutes, somebody's going to be trying to organize it. Somebody's going to be trying to tell other people who's more important. Okay, I'm the leader here. I've been the Christian the longest. We're all going to organize. I guarantee you that's going to happen within 10 minutes. Us Christians, we love to decide who's most important, who's more experienced, whatever. And Jesus told the disciples that he's about to go to the cross. He's about to die. He's going to be betrayed by his closest friends. But they are too busy arguing about who is more talented, about who is more important. And as Christians, we're supposed to all agree, right, that Jesus is the main thing. We preach the same message. We believe the same message that Jesus' death and resurrection changes everything. But instead, all we have been able to do is play the comparison game with each other. Whose church is bigger? Hey, how many students goes to your youth group? Oh, well, more come to mind. Maybe thinking, hey, I think I can preach better. I think I deserve to be on that stage. Or I can sing better. I can play guitar way better. I should be leading worship. Or maybe it's more simple. Maybe it's more just like, you know what? I think if I were in charge, things would be going better. Things would be way better if I were in charge. And that's just how we act at church. Let's start talking about how we act with our own friends, with our own circle of the people who are close to us. We're thinking, man, I wish I had as many followers as they do. Some of you are thinking, I wish I was as pretty as she is, or I feel like they're so much more talented than I am. They got all the talent and I'm not talented at all. You're thinking that. And on one hand, we compare ourselves to other Christians so that we can feel better about ourselves. We compare ourselves to each other in our own church even to be like, yes, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. But then on the other hand, we're comparing ourselves to other Christians and we feel worse about ourselves. We look at what we do have, we take pride in that, and then we also realize what we don't have when we compare ourselves. We become so concerned with who is more important, who is the most special, the most talented, the most important. And what is Jesus' response to us? And it says here in the story that Jesus knows what the disciples are thinking. Jesus knows what we are thinking. His answer is be like a child. Be like a child. He says, be like a child, because think of the way that children play with each other on the playground. Children don't care where you come from or status. They're just here to have fun. Like my 3-year-old son, John, will literally make friends with any human being alive. He will walk past another 3-year-old that he's never met and be like, that's my friend. It's like, do you know his name? It's like, no, but he's my friend. Like, children can be so welcoming. Children can be so willing to play with each other. They're willing to come to the table as equals. And Jesus is saying, yeah, be like that. Be like that child. We're over here trying to argue about who's the most important, who's the most qualified, who's the most talented. And Jesus is saying, hey, be the least important person in the room. Be the least important person in your circle of friends. That's because in Jesus' upside-down kingdom, the greatest people are the people who act like they are the least important. The greatest people act like they are the least important people in the room. And Jesus says the people who are the least important in my kingdom are the people who act like they are the most important person in the room. People who walk around the room acting like they own everything, Jesus is like, they're like least in my kingdom. The first reason our Christianity doesn't work is because we care more about comparing ourselves with other Christians than we do about serving other Christians. We care more about comparing. The message of Jesus is simple. He says it. He says, the Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men. Basically saying, I am about to go die to save you. I am here to serve you, to save you from yourselves. And yet we have made Christianity about us. We have made Christianity about us, about what we have versus what they have. About how important I am as a person versus how important they are, and what we get to do versus what they get to do. We're constantly jockeying for position, for prominence, for importance. And the first solution of the problem of why isn't this working is because you need to stop comparing. You need to stop comparing. You need to start welcoming. Maybe that person in your friend group you come to Spectrum with, maybe you feel like they are more talented in that area. They're not an enemy. Because I guarantee you this, that there's something that you are talented at that they're not. But you need to stop seeing them like an enemy. You need to stop seeing them like a threat. And likewise, you can't take that same attitude and compare yourself to other people so you feel better. Like, well, I've been a Christian a really long time. I know my Bible really well. You don't. You're still kind of new to this. Stop comparing. Stop comparing. Stop building your identity off of what you have or what you don't have. Start building your identity off of what Jesus has done for you. The Son of Man, Jesus, died to save you. You have worth because he said you have worth. He thought you were worth dying for. That's why you have worth, because you are made in the image of God. That is your identity. That Jesus died for you, that he died to save you. He thinks you're worthy, and he wants you to build your identity off of what he says about you. Not what other people say about you, not what you say about yourself in front of other people. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone to find value. You already have value. And imagine what people who don't follow Jesus would think if they walked into a church and they found a community of people who were only concerned with serving one another, only concerned with encouraging one another, only concerned with making everyone feel welcome. Imagine how that would feel if you didn't follow Jesus. And this is the second reason our Christianity isn't working, because we criticize. We criticize. Look at verses 49 and 50. This is John speaking again, the disciple. He says, Master, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he's not one of us. Jesus says, do not stop him, for whoever is not against you is for you. So right here, right after Jesus says, hey, stop comparing yourself to one another, start being like a child. Start trying to focus on being least important. John's like, okay, yeah, I get that, Jesus. Like within our group of circle, that's right. We're all equals here. But that has to have limits. Like there's this other guy, Jesus. Like he's casting out demons. He's doing incredible things. He's doing them in your name, but he's not part of this. So we told him to stop. He's not part of this. Basically, John is upset because God is using someone to work miracles that's not part of their little group. And if anything, these disciples are probably jealous of this dude. We don't know this dude's name. The disciples are jealous of him because we just read a story where here, all of the disciples are trying to be the star of attention. No, we're going to heal this guy. We're going to heal this kid. And we can't. We couldn't cast the demon out. And then they hear a story about some dude who doesn't even hang out with them who can cast out demons. They're jealous. They're jealous. Once again, I would love to say that this is just simply a disciple thing, that this was just something they did. But we do the same thing, guys. We do the same thing. Because not only do we compare ourselves with other people, If those people start doing something we don't like, especially if they are not part of our group, we criticize. Instead of celebrating that God was doing miracles, the disciples were more interested in criticizing this guy who God was working through. They're upset that God didn't choose them to work the miracle, so they're going to criticize the guy who God did choose to work the miracle. We do the same thing today. We do the same thing today. And that's because, again, we have turned Christianity and church into an us versus them. And because we've started to look at people who aren't in our community, in our circle, we start to view them as threats. Instead of being the church here in Albuquerque, each little individual church, oh, this is my territory, and this is your territory, and don't come near my territory because this is mine. Like, you need to stay over there. We see other churches and other Christians as threats. Instead of celebrating lives that God may be saving lives, saving souls at another church, we criticize them. Instead of celebrating what God is doing through someone else, we criticize them for not doing things our way. And hear me on this. Just because it's your way of doing things doesn't make it the way of Jesus. Just because you prefer to do something one way doesn't mean that it's the only way to do it. As Christians, not only do we have an us versus them mindset within our own community, we have an us versus them mindset with Christians who aren't part of our community. It's us versus them. One of the reasons that American Christianity is broken, one of the reasons it does not work, is because we like to criticize other Christians instead of celebrating them. We like to criticize other Christians instead of focusing once again on the common purpose, the common mission and message that we all have. We focus on the things that separate us. We focus on the little things, the little differences that make us different from them. Well, at this church, we do it this way. At that church, well, who knows? The fact of the matter is, most of the walls that separate us as believers are walls that Jesus did not put there. The walls that separate us from believers, for the most part, are walls that Jesus did not build. We put those there. Once again, Jesus knows our hearts. What's his response? He says, whoever is not against you is for you. Meaning, just because they might do something differently, just because this dude casts out demons but doesn't hang out with us, he's on our side, guys. He's on our side. He's not our enemy. And this is a challenge for all of us, myself included, because I need to work on this too. Next time we're on Instagram and we see another church or another Christian sharing a victory that they've had, take a moment and pray and thank God for them. Pray and thank God that you are on the same team as them. And next time you see that God blesses the efforts of another Christian that you know, maybe another Christian who's not part of your circle of friends, thank God that they are there, that God is moving. Thank God that you are on the same team, because it's time to start seeing other followers of Jesus as teammates, not competitors. We've got to see each other as teammates. Because when God does something incredible, when he changes lives at one church, all of us benefit. Because we are one body of Christ. We may meet in different buildings. We may go to different churches that have different ways of doing things, but ultimately we are one body of Christ. So when one community of Christ wins, they have a victory, we all win. We all benefit. And next time you want to open your mouth, you want to criticize the efforts of other Christians, stop. Take a moment, celebrate them first. Celebrate that God is doing something. And admit to God, if you're jealous that you wish that God was doing that through you, confess it. But celebrate other Christians. Stop criticizing them. Because imagine what could happen if us Christians were more known for how much we support, how much we encourage and stand behind other churches, other communities of faith. Imagine what people would think of that if they said, wow, you got Christians going to multiple churches, multiple youth groups, but they all have one message. They are so united. That's a powerful testimony. And this is the last thing, the last reason I think this story shows us that our Christianity doesn't work is because we condemn. because we condemn. And I'd like to invite the band back out on stage too. Look at the last few verses, 51. It says, as the time approached for Jesus to be taken up to heaven, he resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven and to destroy them?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them, and then he and his disciples went to another village. See, Jesus knows his time is running short. He knows that his time is running short. The point of his ministry, the ultimate goal, is close at hand. So that's why it says he resolutely set out for Jerusalem. His disciples, even 3.5 years in, don't get the point of this whole thing, but Jesus does. Jesus knows where he's going, and that's why he says he resolutely goes to Jerusalem. He sets out for Jerusalem one final time. And on that way, he wants to go through the region of Samaria, but as soon as the people there find out that he's going to Jerusalem, they don't want anything to do with that. And I don't have time to summarize all of it right now, but basically there was a lot of racial, a lot of religious tension between Jewish people and the Samaritans. And long story short, Jesus tries to spread the message of grace, the message of love and forgiveness of the kingdom, and the Samaritans reject him. They reject what he is offering. And once again, the disciples proved to be experts at trying the wrong approach. Just like I tried to start my grill by almost blowing my face off, they literally want God to nuke this village because they rejected Jesus. And imagine the scene. Imagine just like Jesus' disciples, those messengers get back there just like, "Hey, so change of plans. They don't want us to be there. They're not going to welcome us." Some of the disciples are just like, "Oh, what a bummer. I was excited to go through Samaria." And then James and John are just like, "Should we ask him? Hey, Jesus, can you nuke that village? Can you just blow it up?" And I like how the text just says Jesus turned, he rebuked them, and then they went to another village. Like, it doesn't even say what it is, but I just imagine James and John, they're just like, "Let's turn this village into a crater." And Jesus is just like, "No. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?" And let's just be real. This story, it's funny. I read it even today. I'm just like, I'm laughing. Except for the fact we realize that us as Christians have this same attitude towards people who don't follow Jesus. We have this same attitude. We want those who don't believe in Jesus to come into faith, to come into a relationship with him. And yet we have nothing good to say about people who don't follow Jesus. We talk so disparagingly of people who aren't Christians. Once again, we have made Christianity into an us versus them. It's us Christians versus the big, bad, evil world filled with terrible unbelievers. Us versus them. We present the good news of Jesus to people. We say we want to evangelize, but then they reject it or say they're not ready, and we are so quick to write them off. We are so quick to write them off as a lost cause. Notice how quickly the disciples went from being excited to go into Samaria. They're just like, "Oh, this is the mission field. This is so good." They send messengers ahead to get everything ready, and they get rejected once, and they're ready to blow up the place. Maybe the main reason that our Christianity doesn't seem to work, maybe the main reason that people don't want to follow Jesus is because we as Christians treat them as though they are less than human. We treat them as though they are unclean. And so often, American Christianity, the way we look at faith in Jesus, is more about saints versus sinners than it is focusing on the overwhelming love and grace of Jesus that we all need equally, Christian and non-Christian. Sometimes when we talk about people who don't believe in Jesus, maybe people who have chosen to reject Jesus, we do so with this attitude of disdain, of superiority, like we are the ones who figured it out. We joined the right club. Thank you, Jesus. I joined the right club. To hell with those people. That's why we're so quick to write off people. That's not the heart of Jesus, because when Jesus finally gets to Jerusalem in Matthew 23, he's standing there, he's overlooking the city. He's overlooking a city he knows in about a week is going to reject him. In about a week is going to demand that he be murdered. And this is what he says. He says, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you, how often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. You see why that's important is because he says that with tears coming down his face. He is weeping. He's not smiling. There's no glee. There's no happiness. He's weeping. My friends, the reason we're looking at our Christianity, the reason we're saying, why isn't this working? Why aren't people coming to Jesus? Well, because we don't have the heart of Jesus towards people who don't follow him. Because John 3:17 says this, it says, for God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. But too often, us Christians are way happier to condemn than to show compassion, to show understanding. Those who do not believe Jesus, those who have rejected Jesus and aren't people to be hated. They're not people to be treated like they're unclean. They're people to be prayed for. They're people to be loved. They're people to be treated like they have inherent worth and dignity because we are all made in the image of God. Even if they have chosen to reject that image, they still have worth, and we need to treat them like that. Yes, following Jesus is the only way to salvation. Following Jesus is the only way to salvation, but people aren't going to want to follow him if when they look at us, we're so quick to write them off and condemn them as a lost cause. People don't want to follow that Jesus. Sometimes the biggest hindrance to the gospel isn't Satan, isn't demons, it's not unbelievers, it's us. Sometimes we're the biggest hindrance to people following Jesus. And maybe, just maybe, my friends, if we stop comparing ourselves to one another and embrace the identity that we have in Jesus, maybe if we stop criticizing the efforts of other Christians and start uniting with them, we can do more. Maybe if we stop condemning those who don't follow Jesus, then maybe, just maybe, we will be able to change this city the way Jesus wants us to. It's time for us to ask Jesus to change our heart before we ask him to change the hearts of those around us. Because we are City Changers Spectrum. We have that potential. That is who we are, and that is what we are going to do. But sometimes we got to ask questions about the way we approach it, our attitude. We need to ask Jesus to change our heart before we ask him to change the hearts of others. And just real quick, if you're in here, maybe you're not a follower of Jesus, and you have been hurt by the church. You have been hurt by people who say they're Christians, who claim to follow Jesus, but they've treated you poorly, they mistreated you, they've been rude to you, they bullied you, whatever. First, I am sorry. I am sorry that you've been treated like that. And my friends, I beg you, look at Jesus one more time. Don't judge Jesus by the actions of some of the people who claim to follow him, because we are all imperfect and we are all hypocrites. Look at Jesus. He will change your life. He is not here to condemn you. He is here to save you. So I'm pleading with you, my friends, if you do not follow Jesus right now, give him another chance. Look at him again, because I promise you, if you look at Jesus, the Jesus of the Bible, you look at his heart for you, you will never be the same. And I promise you that. But with that, let's pray. Let's worship. Father God, I just thank you so much for this message. Thank you for your heart towards us, God, when we are hypocritical, when we mistreat people, when we are obsessed with ourselves, when we need to be obsessed with others. God, I just forgive us for the places that we've been guilty of comparison or criticizing or condemning. God, change our hearts. God, if there's anyone in here tonight who does not know you, I pray that you would reveal yourself to them in perhaps a new way. They would encounter the real you. They would see how good, how loving you are. And I pray that you would change their lives. Thank you for how good you are to us, Father. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's worship. Love you guys.